RMJ Movie Reviews back again with another horror movie, Halloween movie review. Now, what I'm about to review, this is an extremely controversial choice. Especially, not so much for casual viewers, because casual viewers probably won't even remember this movie, but for hardcore horror fans of 70s, 80s, parts of the 90s, and probably very little of 2000s horror pictures. This is a controversial choice, I admit it, and a personal guilty pleasure for me. 1998's Urban Legend, directed by Jamie Blanks, starring a then unknown Jared Leto. And I think her name is, I think it's Alicia. I don't know if it's Alicia Watts is her name. Yeah, Witt. I'm sorry. And the guy from Smallville who plays Lex Luthor, he had hair in this movie back then. And I had hair back when this movie came out too. And Rebecca Gayheart. Robert Englund pops up. Brad Dourif pops up. A couple of other small character actor horror faces. Alright, I'm done naming the cast. 1998's Urban Legend. Of course, this was one of the Scream clones that came out after Scream. Like I said, this was released in 98, so I believe at this point, I think there had been 3 of these. There had been the first Scream, there had been Scream 2, and then there had been I Know What You Did Last Summer. And I think, don't quote me guys, because this is over, I think, 17 years ago now, whatever it is. I think this was the 4th or 5th movie. Excuse me, the 2nd movie from the Scream clones. Because I think at this point, I Know What You Did Last Summer and this movie were the only non-Scream reboot of the slasher genre pictures that had come out at this point. Here's the big difference. Scream, the first one, is a fantastic movie. It was unexpected. When that movie came out, it's not like movie previews now where they show you the whole damn movie. And remember, you didn't have IMDb and Movie Phone and all this kind of internet stuff. The internet was just up and coming when Scream came out. So when we actually saw Scream for the first time, most of the movie was a surprise. Scream 2, good movie. But for me personally, it kind of falls apart, I'm thinking about the second and third act of the movie, but it's still pretty good. I Know What You Did Last Summer. Decent throwback to old school 80s horror. Most of that movie is okay. If anything, Jennifer Love Hewitt just gets me through that damn movie because she's so cute. Now we come to Urban Legend. I did not see this film when it opened up in regular theaters. I actually saw this movie when I did see it at the theater, but it was at a second run theater. It was at a dollar movie. I saw Urban Legend, and the house was packed that night. It was a packed theater. Me and my best friend, his older brother, we went to go see it. It was a packed house. And another friend of mine, 4 of us, we all went to go see it. Trying to flirt with the girls and stuff, and we were having a good time. And the movie plays real well with a big audience. I actually bought this from the Game Exchange movie place. I think it cost me like $2 or something like that. I thought it was an okay, kind of Friday night crowd pleaser when I saw it. I believe I had just turned 17 when Urban Legend came out. 'Cause that's right, I was a junior in high school, and it came out it actually came out I think a little bit after my 17th birthday. But I thought it was an okay film. Sue me. I mean, I remember back at school, because back at that time when Scream came out, everybody would talk about these movies after they'd see them. Because, of course, everybody just loved Scream. Scream 2, back at school, people seemed to be split. Like, there were some people who was like, it was good. Then some people were like, it was okay. And then some people were just like, I just hated it. I Know What You Did Last Summer was pretty much just kind of like mostly people didn't like it. But I was one of the ones who gave it a pass. Urban Legend kind of seemed to be across the board. Like, when we talked about horror movies in the cafeteria, Urban Legends seem to pretty much be hated just across the board. I think I was like the only one who I remember, and people who saw it at the time when it came out, I was like the only one who gave it a pass. Upon rewatching it now, as an adult, I mean, it's nostalgic because I remember, being in high school when that movie came out. And it's also nostalgic to kind of see kind of the actors who were doing like all the little TV shows at the time, and it's kind of nostalgic for that, and some of the '90s in jokes. And I forgot Danielle Harris pops up for kind of a thankless role, but she does a lot with it in her short screen time. It's nostalgic for that. Make no mistake about it, Urban Legend is a guilty pleasure, and this is a bad movie. And I don't mean Michael Jackson bad. I mean, it's not good. It's a bad movie. I think the idea is pretty clever. It's just that most of the movie is handled in such a ham-handed way. Like, it's just so... And don't get me wrong, I don't think any of the actors in this thing are bad. I actually think the actual talent, the actors, I think all the actors are good. Jared Leto is good in the movie. The guy from Smallville, Lex Luthor guy, he's good. Although I kind of feel like he's really channeling Jamie Kennedy and what's his name from Scream, the one who played Stu, Matthew Lillard. I kind of feel like he's imitating them in their performances from the Scream, and that's kind of really my biggest issue. Aside from the really ham-handed way, kind of the actors kind of play it, a lot of it is just like kind of just really just imitating Scream. Like, everybody is imitating Scream. They're imitating. It's almost it's a horrible imitation of Scream. As back in the day, Friday the 13th, the original 1980 version, was an imitation of Halloween, a bad one with really good special effects for the time. And that's what you're dealing with here. I just feel like all the actors are imitating what everybody did in Scream. Alicia Witt, she's cute. I don't usually like redheads, but I think she's got pretty eyes. She's got a pretty smile. She's gorgeous. I kind of feel like she's channeling Neve Campbell here. That's how I feel. Maybe the people who put the money into the movie said, I want you to be like Neve Campbell. Only difference is with Neve Campbell is that as opposed to this movie feels carbon copy imitation of Scream, Neve Campbell in the first Scream, and I even say in all four movies, I feel like Neve Campbell is genuinely, when she cries about her dead mother and her friends being killed, I genuinely feel like Neve Campbell is giving a performance in this slasher film. I don't feel like, and actually in the first Scream and even the second one, I feel like the actors are giving performances. I do not feel like they're giving performances in Urban Legend. I kind of feel like Jared Leto is. Jared Leto's kind of having fun with it. Robert Englund, he's stepping in for the paycheck, but he was already a veteran in the game at this point. Brad Dourif, that's pure. He doesn't even have enough screen time, but that's a paycheck. But even with his little bit of screen time, it shows what a fantastic actor he is, because he's in the movie for like 2 minutes, and he just has such presence. Him and Robert Englund have presence on film. But that's my biggest issue. And I will say what I really like about this movie, what really gives it high points, and this is going to like old school 80s slasher video store late night cable movie guide, is the fact that the kills in this movie are absolutely mean spirited. They are so mean. They're so nasty. They're so vicious. They're so cruel. I mean, this movie is very, very cruel. And because everything else is so ham-handed, and oh god, the reveal of the killer. The reveal of the killer was very controversial. I remember talking, actually one of my best friends, who's a female, she was just ragging on this movie. I remember she's talking about how stupid the movie was, and the killer is a girl, and it was stupid. My other friend Kathy, she hated it, and I remember she used to love the first Scream. We used to work at a grocery store. She used to talk about how much she loved the first Scream. But she hated Urban Legend. She was just like, it was stupid. She was another one who said the killer was a girl. But the kills, I think, are what gives this... I mean, if anything to watch this movie, watch it for the kills, because they're very... And I will say the Urban Legend twist was a good gag, because you saw a lot of that in the first Candyman. And it was kind of cool that they kind of played off of it a little bit. It's just that the problem is that, it's just everything is so, like, actors just feel phony. It feels like it's just zeroing in on Scream so much that it's kind of hard to roll with it. The outfit for the killer is just, he's got a triple fat goose hoodie on. That's old school. But he's got like this big like hoodie with the Arctic Eskimo thing with the black. You can't see the face. And you would think if you write it in a script, it sounds cool. But when you see it in the movie, it just kind of looks goofy with him walking around with an axe and a triple fat goose coat on. It's just kind of like, huh? I mean, the killer doesn't look cool, but I tell you what he does is cool. You know, I'd say the backseat gag, decapitating the girl, that was a good gag. The gag where the guy from Dawson's Creek, Joshua Jackson, another inside gag from the 90s where it plays the I don't want to wait. That's old school. If anybody watched this movie now, they might not even remember that gag. But I remember that was a funny one in the theater at the time. But him being hung from the back of the car and he's on top of the roof and she pulls the car away and it strings him up in the tree. Very nasty gag. That was a good one. I like the gag with Danielle Harris where she's like this goth chick and she goes like, well, what room you want me to come to? And then he goes, yours. And then he like pops out and like the whole gag is like she has sex in front of her roommate, which is Alicia Witt. So like she comes into the room and she goes, I'm not looking. And in the background, she's in the foreground, the background, the killer is killing Danielle Harris. I really like those gags are really, really good homages to kind of John Carpenter's kind of style of horror making, you know, actor in the foreground, killer in the background. And I love those kind of shots. So I give the movie points for those kind of gags. I remember in the theater, that gag was really hated. It was really three gags that I remember everybody in the theater was like, oh, come on. It was the gag with the Danielle Harris one where she gets killed. The swimming pool one, oh my God. Where Rebecca Gayheart is in the pool and the killer walks in and she opens it up and it's some chicken. I remember the whole theater was like, oh, like everybody. That gag just can't be defended. And when I listen to the commentary, Jamie Blanks, the director, even says this up. He goes, you know what? I just can't even defend it. Everybody on the commentary track, the filmmakers even said that we just can't defend it. It was a bad decision. And the last gag, I remember, the last one I think was definitely the reveal of Rebecca Gayheart being the killer. I mean, by that point, I think most of the audience had just kind of just said, I'm done. You know, me, on the other hand, I like most of the movie. You know what I mean? I like the mean-spirited kills because I'm a little twisted. And I really love the cinematography. The cinematography and the camera work in this movie is actually way better than it should be. And one thing I want to mention, too, is Christopher Young does the music for this. And we all know Christopher Young did the music for Nightmare on Elm Street 2, which the music in Nightmare on Elm Street 2, as much as people kind of rag on Nightmare 2, the music in that movie is spectacular. And he did the score for Hellbound, Hellraiser 2. Another really good. I like Hellraiser 2. I think that's actually the last good Hellraiser movie because I don't really like Hellraiser 3. But you know, Christopher Young's score it's overwrought and it's kind of a little bit imitating Scream, but still very good orchestral score. I really like the music in this movie. So you know, and it's just a cruel, mean movie, man. I love the other gag where I think the dean gets murdered. He slices his ankles and then he runs him over with the car. I mean, it's so cruel. And they're like, he fries a dog in the microwave and then he like shoves bleach down the guy's throat. It is absolutely mean-spirited and sick. Roger Ebert was totally justified in how he ragged on this movie. I don't remember what he said, but I remember him not really liking the movie because of how cruel it was. And I'd agree. This movie is very mean-spirited, but the thing is that aside from the mean-spirited kills, some clever ideas with the urban legends that don't always particularly fall through, and some beautiful cinematography and camera work and music, there's really nothing else going for it. You know what I mean? Because the way the mystery ties up and the killer's motive is just kind of like, you know, it's just kind of like... I mean, at least I like the fact in Scream that, you know, it was clever because it was two killers, which was very unexpected at that time, you know. And also, too, the reason for why they were doing, because there really was no reason for why Billy and Stu were murdering everybody. They were just sick. You know, there was only one murder in the movie that had a motive, which was Sydney's mom, who was, you know, so, and Scream is actually, and Urban Legend isn't on any level scary at all. It's not scary, it's not creepy, it's just... It's really more than what Roger Ebert would call a geek show for you to sit back and watch the very mean-spirited death scenes, you know. and and of course the boo moments where like people were popping out and with the loud musical sting. Oh, Sandy, it's just you. But Scream, on the other hand, the original Scream was genuinely creepy. That's a creepy movie. And that opening death with Drew Barrymore is a very frightening scene. Creepy movie. Urban Legend has none of that. So why did I review it? Just because it's a guilty pleasure of mine. Sue me. I enjoy it for what it is. Sleazeball, mean-spirited, useless trash that you would have watched on USA back in the 80s or early 90s on USA Up All Night. So, controversial choice, guys. I know many of my subscribers who are fans of horror. I'm sure you guys hate it, so don't bash me too bad. Thumbs up the video if you can. Subscribe to my channel. Leave some comments below about Urban Legend from 1998. Just put down whatever you'd like to say about that movie. I know it's a weird choice, but there's only a couple days of October left, guys. I'm going to try to squeeze in as many as I can. I guess my next one is going to be Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. Another controversial choice, split among fans, but I think there's a lot of good in that movie. I think I do want to do the first Scream, because I just always love that picture. And I'm going to try to slip in Nightmare on Elm Street 2. Because that's a controversial choice. And I'm going to try to get in 4 more movies, guys. I'm going to do the best I can. Because it's crunch time. I got to work all this. I'll do the best I can. RMJ Movie Reviews. I will see you guys soon.